Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Central Intelligence presented by offtheglass.com. You can follow along on Twitter and Facebook at OTG Basketball. Back again, the dynamic duo. My other half is Kory Waldron. What's up, my man?
Matt, how you doing? We're glad to be back. Glad to bring you another edition of Central Intelligence. It's always a pleasure, Matt. You know how I feel about this podcast. This is where we rock and roll.
Heck yeah, dude. And I mean, we have, like, when we started this, we had talked about it and we were looking at the teams and we're like, I mean, we both like teams that are in this conference or in the division, excuse me. And, we're actually really lucky because it's, I mean, in my opinion, it's been one of the best divisions in basketball for a really long time. But even if the teams don't have that great of a record, we always seem to have something to talk about, which I mean can be said with most of the NBA. But like you said, this is our baby, man. We started it and it's been going pretty well. I mean, how do you feel so far, man? This is number 9, I believe.
Yeah, we're almost in the double-digit mark.
So
Yeah, no, like you said, I mean, obviously every division has good basketball teams. Ours, I mean, this one, we both have interest in it. Every team to this point still has a chance of making the playoffs in the division. You don't see that every day. And, we actually had a great interdivision game last night between the Cavs and Pacers. It went to double OT. I was watching it with a buddy of mine, and we were jumping up and down almost the entire game, seeing, LeBron James versus Paul George. Matt, what were some of your thoughts from this Cavs-Pacers game from last night?
Oh, dude, there was so much to talk about, and I'm so glad that, we get to talk about this one because, well, let's start with, the game. Like you talked about, the biggest battle. Now, obviously, we got a couple of teams that, I mean, in the past, this would have been, way more physical. 135 to 130 in the past would have blown your mind between these two. But, this is 2017, and we had, two of the greatest players in the game right now, PG-13 and LBJ. They were battling last night. They both broke 40. Paul George got the knot with 43, 9 and 9, and then LeBron dropped 41, 16 rebounds, 11 assists. So just two stud performances. And there's you've seen this obviously, and a lot of the sports shows today are covering it. And you said it went to double OT, and in that double OT with I think like 30 seconds left, LeBron was walking off the court, and I mean he'd been torching all night, right? And that's a tough defensive assignment for anyone. But I think Tristan Thompson and LeBron were walking off the court, and it was right after Paul George scored, I think. And they had a disagreement, and it turned into a really heated disagreement. And at one point, Tristan Thompson was just letting him have it. You remember when LeBron was yelling at Mario Chalmers when they were on the Heat? And he
Yeah,
would always
who? Wait, funny thing about that. Do you know who they were playing when he yelled at Chalmers?
the Pacers.
Yeah.
So I mean, we all remember how much Mario just would get, ripped apart by LeBron. It was almost the opposite. I mean, I want to get your opinion on this, but to me, I think it's good for the Cavs. This recent stretch has just been awful for them. And it's good to me because Thompson's, he stood up to LeBron. I mean, it's good to have someone step up to the leader every once in a while. If you have this, every game, it's going to cause some inner issues, but it's nice to see some emotion out of a team that's been struggling. But what do you think? I mean, do you think this is an issue? What do you think about that?
Well,
Just the argument part of it.
you know, when your team's struggling, first off, they've been struggling, and they were playing another team that's been struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in. I can't remember when the argument took place. If it was in the first OT or the second one.
I
I
think
know it
I
was
think second. I think second.
right,
But
and it was
anyways.
actually Paul George had scored a three, and then Kevin Love had just scored on the other end, and they had the argument after they had just scored.
Okay.
And I don't really know what they were arguing about. There hasn't been much detail, but I think it was just like you said, the LeBron was angry because of the possession before. Tristan didn't switch and close out quick enough on Paul George,
Mm-hmm.
and Paul George hit a three.
But do you think
And
do you think that's even right of LeBron? Like, I mean, yeah, you didn't switch out
it's
quick
one of
enough,
those things
but
where, I think it's just one of those things where you're struggling.
Yeah.
LeBron obviously played a phenomenal game last night. He played 51 minutes, almost 52 minutes. And I think it's just one of the games where LeBron just didn't want to lose last night. You know,
Yeah.
he had put so much into the game, and the game was that close. Paul George was lighting it up, like we just said. And I think it was just one of those frustration things. Because if you look when they went back into the huddle and Tristan's yelling at LeBron, LeBron really didn't have much bark in him.
No.
He was pretty much letting Tristan let it out because I think LeBron knew that he was in the wrong.
Mm-hmm. And I
So
like
I
that.
don't.
And he even came after the game. He came out and said that he has to handle letting his frustrations out in front of people, on his
Right.
teammates. He has to do better. And I thought that was a really good move on LeBron. But
Especially
I
because
also,
he acknowledged it right on the court. Like
yep.
he wasn't in the locker room afterwards talking to
It
media.
wasn't one of
It
those
was
prepared statements where he had time to
right.
think.
It
This
was
was raw
post game
right
on
after the
the
game.
floor.
Yeah.
Game had just ended. LeBron apologizing.
I mean, if you look at it, just really raw and for what it is, two dudes screaming at each other. But when you dig a little deeper, I like how both guys handled it in a way. I like that Thompson let his frustrations out, and then after the game, Thompson comes out and says, "No, we're family. We're on to the next game." These things happen all the time. And then LeBron handled it as he could have. So I think that I thought it was good for him. But
And we know this is LeBron. LeBron, like we said about Chalmers, LeBron is one of those guys who, if he does not see something or like something, he gets on your case about it. He's always been that way. We
mhm.
saw him in the NBA Finals last year, the year before, when Kevin Love went to high five him after a bucket, and he was yelling at Kevin Love because Kevin Love had messed up on I think he forgot to switch over on a possession before. But that's just
Yeah.
how LeBron is. If he sees something that frustrates him, he doesn't. He just reacts.
And
Which I mean, obviously, can be a bad thing, but you're just letting out steam. It was double OT against an interdivision rival. It ain't nothing.
I think when if you're gonna be at an 11 on a 10 scale on the anger scale, if you're gonna do this all the time, I think dudes will just be like, all right, whatever, man. This, he's just doing his thing. I think Draymond kind of got into that. Sometimes he was always, fired up, but I think LeBron picks his moments. He's been picking his moments really well over his career to do this now in the leader role. But today on Colin Cowherd's show, The Herd, he was talking about this, and he even said, if you look at even like Tom Brady, someone another great in a different sport, when he doesn't like something, he'll come off the field and he'll just rip into his dudes. And some people don't really like that, but when you're put into a status as the team leader and one of the best players in the game, you're held to this status as a player, so you hold your team to that, and you're gonna get on your guys when they're not doing the right thing, and I think it just keeps everyone's level of play up to that, because who wants to get called out in the middle of a game?
Right.
You know what I mean? And someone, I forget if it was Colin, I don't remember, but one of the sports shows today said, and they don't blame Thompson either, because I mean, you're a grown man, you have your own things. You're not gonna let a dude talk to you like that all the time. And I think Thompson I don't think he snapped, but I think that somebody had to say something eventually, because you can't let LeBron run it. This is another NBA player. He's a beast. So Thompson's earned that right to say something back. But I think going forward, this will. I don't think it's anything like this will happen again for the Cavs, because I think they can learn from it and move on. But on the other side, Kory, you're the Pacers guy, and I like coming to you for these things because you always have that insight. I wanted to ask you about the Pacers and Paul George specifically. Let me throw these stats at you real quick. So in March, the Pacers they played 16 games. They played 16 games in March, right? And they had a 6-10 record. But Paul George in March, he tore it up. He had 26.8 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 3.1 assists. So Paul George tore it up, but the Pacers, had a struggle. So I wanted to ask you, should we take that at face value, take it with a grain of salt? What should we dig into the stats deeper? And are the Pacers kind of wasting Paul George at this point?
I mean, it's kind of been the issue the argument, not the argument, the question all season. I know that we talked a lot about it before the All-Star break. I was very critical of Paul George. I had even said I was okay if they traded Paul George because he hadn't looked like the leader of this team.
Mm-hmm.
He went through times where you just didn't see the effort. You didn't see the the guy who guaranteed MVP this season, or said he was aiming for MVP this season. And since the All-Star break, he's really taking control of the offense. You know, the offense is clearly flowing through Paul George. He's more aggressive. He's more assertive. Last night in particular, I saw him take some hard contested shots that I haven't really seen him take often this year. I know he drained a three in LeBron's mouth. He took a three where LeBron and Tristan were closing out right on top of him. He dunked on LeBron early in the game. Had a couple spin move jump shots. You know, he was really just the best version of Paul George that I've seen in a very long time. I don't think they're wasting him because, I mean, let's be real. The first 4 years of his career, he went to the Eastern Conference Finals twice. So I really don't want to say they're wasting him because he's already had more success than most people have in their career. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things where this roster has underperformed. And last night you just saw energy. And I really got to give a shout out to Larry Bird and the brass. I have never been so happy to see Lance Stevenson back in Indiana. I was sad when they let him go, when he didn't re-sign the first time. And he just brings something to Indiana that they've lacked, that intensity and that energy. And it was absolutely phenomenal to watch him and LeBron go back and forth last night, trash talking. Like, I don't know what Lance does or why, but Lance Stevenson seems to be the one guy who just consistently gets under LeBron James' skin.
And blowing his ear. I think that was the
that was
the highlight of his career.
No. But you know, he really, last night they were really going at each other, and last night was really, I mean, I know LeBron posted on Instagram a photo of him and Paul George, and he was saying, like, you know, I'm glad to have you back to where you're supposed to be, because those guys, like, I love watching them play. They've played each other so many times, from the Pacers Miami rivalry, and Paul George versus LeBron James is always primetime TV.
I'll ask you this too, going to that Instagram thing. You bring up a really interesting thing. Some people have said that the league's too soft and that players, and even down to the AAU level, everyone's, even opponents, they're too friendly. Because, you know, you see the D-Wade and LeBron, they're always, you know,
right.
LeBron, Chris Bosh, et cetera, et cetera. He puts this Instagram post. This was obviously after the game, which I have no problem with. But what do you think about that? Is it too soft? Do you like it more friendly, or do you want players to kind of be enemies on the court, or what? Is there a line? I mean, where do we go with that?
There's a line. There has to be a line. I have no problem with the LeBron thing for Paul George.
The Instagram post?
Yeah, I have no problem with the Instagram post. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, it's hard. You can be friendly off the court, but when you are on the court for those 48 minutes, you are no longer friends. Mm-hmm. I think that's the best way I can put it.
So even let's say Paul George goes up and he dunks over LeBron. LeBron falls down or something, or even if he doesn't dunk on him, he goes up, hard layup, and they both fall down. Would you be upset to see either way, Paul George help LeBron up, offer the handout, or LeBron tries to help Paul George up? You think that's, I mean, even we should cut that out too? Or
I think it also just depends on the player to a degree, because like Paul George and LeBron James have a very competitive friendship. Mm-hmm. I would say.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, you know, another thing, you know, when, to me, there's always that friendly aspect. You know, guys are going to have friends that are more than just their teammates. You know, obviously you have the cliques and the groups, and you're always going to be tight knit with your basketball family on your specific team. But to me, I have no problem with being friendly. Like you said, the Instagram post I thought was more of a respect thing than anything. I haven't seen LeBron and Paul George hang out that much. But to me, there is that line, like you said. To me, the line is be friendly. You know, even during a game, you know, have a quick slap, you know, before the game, whatever, you know, respect. But let's not make this an all-star game, you know. During the all-star game, there's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of smiles, there's, you know, all these, you know, it's kind of received as more of a joke. And that's why I think the all-star game has been, you know, kind of tanking recently, is because like we talked about that line, there's the guys that, chirp all the games and they're talking the entire All-Star game. But regular season, I think that line is, let's be friends off the court and even before the game and after the game. But like you said, when we have our shoes on, we're balling. We're enemy. Not necessarily enemies, but we're not friends at that moment. My friends are the four other players on the court and the guys on the bench. Um, you think that's right, Kory, or am I going a little too far on that?
I mean, I think it's just like in the playoffs, 100%. I don't think you should be uh, dapping up the other team or posting photos after a game on Instagram.
Yeah, you got to be
But
locked in.
in the regular season, though, at the end of the day, it's 82 games long.
Yeah.
Paul George and LeBron had a battle last night. They went back and forth. You couldn't tell anyone watching last night's game can't say that LeBron was really soft or Paul George was kind of soft on LeBron. They went right at each other, and after the game, I just see it as good sportsmanship.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what I was saying. I saw it more of it. I saw it
right.
more as a respecting. Like I never see Paul George and LeBron like friendly in the off season or anything like that. Like if this like and LeBron doesn't they don't do this to each other on Instagram or social media a lot. Like if this was LeBron and like D Wade, we're all just like, okay, I think some people are gonna eye roll, like, okay, here we go again, like the brotherly thing. But this was someone going out of their way. And I'm assuming, and Paul George respects him, LeBron just as much. You know what I mean? So,
I mean,
I think,
if you want to look back on it too, I can't remember. I think it was Game 2, the 2013 Eastern Conference Finals. But Paul George hit a three, and then LeBron scored at the buzzer at halftime. And Paul George and LeBron like dabbed each other up at midcourt going into the break. And it was kind of like I got you, and I just got you back.
yeah,
And these guys, they were playing at such a high level against each other, like we said from the Miami and Pacer days, that this was really the first game where we saw Paul George at superstar level going against already superstar LeBron James for the first time since the leg injury. So I
yeah.
think just and like you said in the post, welcome back. Like I'm glad you're back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was tied into the injury. It's nice to see Paul George snap like this, and I think LeBron had been seeing it parts of the season, and then he finally got to play him in person, and they both had plus 40 nights, and they're both giving it all they had, and I think it was totally out of respect. But I
And
think going
also LeBron had sat out, I believe, 2 or 3 games already this year against the Pacers.
yeah. But
So
I think like going back to what you said about in 2013, which really intrigues me, is that like you said, they went back and forth to each other, then they dapped, and then it was into the halftime, and then now we're gonna battle each other out for the second half. I think that there is that line. I don't think the NBA is too soft or too friendly, but the line for me is if there's big moments like that happen, I don't care if it's in the finals or whenever. Obviously, there's more pressure the farther you go in the playoffs, but if a moment like that happens, if two dudes are battling and then they want to, dap it up, go ahead. But if we're just doing this, if no one's having a great game or no moments are happening and you're just gonna dap like middle of the game with your buddy, I think that takes away from your teammates as well.
And I think to a degree, like when they dab each other up, at least in that instance, it's kind of like, it's them firing each other up to a degree as well. Like you're having a great game, you're having a
Yeah.
great game. Like
Like
let's
let's
see who
keep this
wins.
going. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But two teams, the smooth transition to two teams. I mean, if you want to say three, you could, but you know how I feel about that. Two teams that are looking to keep it going into the playoffs: the Bucks and the Bulls, and technically the Detroit Pistons. We won't count them off. Milwaukee's 40-37 right now, a fifth seed in the East. And then you have Chicago Bulls at 38-39 at the seventh seed. The Pacers just one game back of the Bulls and tied for the eighth spot with Miami at 37-40. And then the Detroit Pistons are 2 games back of that eighth spot at 35-42. I'll throw this out to you, Kory. Which of those teams, A, has the best chance to win the first? I think we do this question all the time, but I feel like our answers could change. Which team has the best first round potential to advance, and which team will struggle the most when they get in?
I mean, I don't think the Pistons are going to make the playoffs. I know that
Agreed.
we spoke off air, and I said you got to mention the Pistons. Don't be disrespectful. Um, but Reggie Jackson isn't playing really. I'm pretty sure he might be benched for the season. Detroit's just a mess in general.
Hmm.
At one point in the season, I thought they were going to be pretty decent with Hatavius Caldwell Pope showing up and Andre Drummond and guys like that. But they've really, taken a step back since the All Star break. So I think they're kind of out of the picture. And then between the Bucks, Pacers, and Bulls, it's funny. The Bulls we thought were done when
Yeah.
Wade went down. Especially, we thought they were done, and they've actually been a
Same with the
much
Bucks.
much better team since Wade went down. And like you said, the same thing with the Bucks. We thought they were getting Middleton back at the right time, and then Parker went down. And the Bucks now, they're a 5 seed, right? Or they're a 6 seed, about to be a
No,
5 seed.
they're 5 right now.
They're 5, which is
Yeah.
incredible.
I looked at that and because on the TV on some channel, I thought they were saying that they were like a 10 seed right now. And I look on here and, there's 5. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I thought,
Yeah,
I don't know. The Greek Freak, anything's possible, dude.
man, they've really risen. They had that tough win over the Celtics last week, where Brogdon hit a ridiculous jump shot in Avery Bradley's mouth. You can go to my Twitter, KWall Hoops, and I have that video pinned of the insane jump shot. But
I mean,
the Bucks. I think the Bucks are a threat as a 5 seed. I think if any team has the best chance to move on, it's got to be the Bucks, because you got to think the Pacers and Bulls likely are going to play either the Cavs or the Celtics. And
dude,
I don't think
that first round matchup between the Wizards and the Bucks. Oh man, that'd be amazing. I got that. That's probably a full 7. I hope. But I think I'm looking at the schedules for the remaining schedules. I think we're gonna get 4 out of our 5 divisional teams in the playoffs. Miami and Indiana are tied right now, like I said, for that 8 spot. But okay, I'm gonna say these 2 schedules, and you tell me which team has the best chance to get in. Okay, this is the remaining 5 games for one team. Okay, they have to play the Cavaliers, the Hornets, the Raptors, and then the Wizards twice. So Hornets, Raptors, Wizards. And then the other team, the other team will play the 76ers, the Knicks, the Nets, the Magic, and the Nets again. You tell me which one is easier.
Is that Chicago scheduled this season?
Yeah, Chicago, and then the Pacers. That was the Chicago schedule. The first one, I'll just tell you, was the Miami Heat.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't our division because I had no idea.
Yeah, and then the Pacers finished 5 with the Sixers,
Toronto, right? Toronto,
Raptors,
Orlando.
Yep, Magic, Bucks, and Hawks.
Yeah.
So I think the Heat are going to go 0-5 to finish out. I mean, there's a real chance to go 0-5. The Bulls have the easiest one, so I think the Bulls are locked in for the playoffs. But so
what's crazy?
I think Pacers are sneaking.
The Bulls are, they're on a 4-game win streak. The Bulls could be going into the playoffs with 8 straight wins, arguably.
Hey, that's Jimmy B. That is Jimmy B.
Hey, let's not count out Rondo. He's been playing some very good basketball.
Stop. I mean, you're right.
I looked at the box score a couple nights ago. He had 5 threes made, and I thought I was in the twilight zone.
God. You had to delete the ESPN app or whatever app you were on, re-download it, and then check it again.
The NBA app is so crappy. I just figured it was a mistake.
Shots fired.
It's Atlanta. I don't think I'm going to disagree with you. I think Miami makes the playoffs. I think Atlanta doesn't.
Over your boys? Atlanta? Oh, man. I guess it is pretty tight.
Because Atlanta's just not good. I just don't understand.
2 games. I don't know, man. They're only 2 games. They have the Cavs twice in a row. Pacers, Celtics, Hornets. Okay. Yeah, they have a terrible remaining schedule. Yeah.
I mean,
the Hawks are going to finish 2-3. They're going to beat your boys, the Pacers, and then they're going to beat the Hornets. Sorry, but
I mean, it's possible. I'm actually looking forward to the Pacers finishing this season by winning at least 4 of the next 5.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I just think the addition of Lance Stevens is really going to boost up the energy level. And I think
He's gonna be
last night was kind of one of those things where, as a team, you go, we just went to double OT against the best team the second best team in the Eastern Conference. I still believe they're the best. And we almost won.
they're favored right now against the Raptors by 2.5.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, they're favored. So I don't know. They could run the table the rest of the way out. Realistically, really. I mean, the Bucks and the
If Paul
Raptors.
George plays at the level that he just played last night and for the last
Okay,
month,
they
the
will run
numbers
the
you gave
table.
earlier,
If he
anything
plays
is
like he did
possible.
last night, are you kidding me? He will run the table and probably take the first series to 6 because it'll be against the Cavs or the.
Yeah, I'm really hoping the Patriots get that 7 seed to play the Cavs in the game in the first round because I'll
Oh my
enjoy
gosh,
Paul George versus LeBron for 6 games.
I want to see it. No, I want to see. I want to see him play the Celtics first round. I don't know how the second round will work. I want him to play the Cavs farther down the line. I want some. I want some momentum to be built into it.
For who?
I want Cavs Indiana later on.
Nah, you're not gonna get it. Indiana, Chicago, Miami, and are all gonna
Because
be
what is
out in
it?
the
It
first
goes.
round.
Nah. Indiana plays the Celtics. They got a chance.
Nah.
I'm just saying. I mean, that is true. I mean, I guess you have to take. You can't get greedy. I mean, if I get Cavs Indiana first round, I'll be ecstatic.
I,
I'm just saying. Ideally, in a dreamland, they'd play second round, and there'd be more momentum.
it
But
might just be me, but I have so much faith between Boston, Cleveland, Toronto, and Washington. I mean, I just think
what do you mean?
these are all
You think
above.
you think they're locked in? They won't lose.
I think they all win their first round matchups. Yeah.
Which team
I think
has the best chance to get upset?
I'm gonna say Washington.
I'll agree with you.
Only
Yeah,
because
Toronto's just looked a lot better at the end of the season.
right, and they don't even have Lowry yet.
No, yeah, you're right. When is he? Is he coming back for the playoffs?
I know that he started doing drills today.
Okay.
So he's
I
planning
really
on
hope
being
he's
ready
back.
for the
I want him
floor.
to be back for the playoffs. It's just good for the league.
Yeah.
It's good for the East. It's good for everything. Just makes everything more competitive.
Yeah, so I would say Washington, but I also have concerns about Boston because of their inability to rebound.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think Washington could. I think Milwaukee could be a problem for Washington only because no one matches up with Giannis on Washington.
They're longer too. They got
Right.
Brogdon. They have Middleton back, so they got some shooting. They have
I-
Thon Maker. Dude,
right.
I want to talk about a pickup too. I just saw Gary Payton Jr. or the
Yeah.
second. What'd you
Yep. Yep.
say?
Yep.
He had a 3 and then he just slammed one home. I don't know. He fits right in with the Bucks. I think that's a really nice pickup right before the playoffs because he's long, he's athletic, he's young. He'll do it. He'll fit right into the team. I don't know. He's another guy that's tough and can hustle. And I think you're right because Milwaukee's way longer than Washington. And I
What you
think,
just mentioned too, they're also a team very similar to Washington in the sense that they're very athletic and they like to run.
yeah, that'd be it.
So you're putting
I'm telling you that's probably going to be the best matchup. Obviously, it's a
it's going to go
4-5.
6 or 7. I think you're right. I think there's definitely going to be it's going to be 2 high scoring
I
games.
mean, most of the time, the 4 or 5 is usually the best first round, obviously, because they're the closest. But this one would be insane.
Right, because you're going to have Brogdon on Wall, Middleton on Bradley Beal, Giannis on Porter, um, and then power forward and center wise, it's going to be I think Washington's favor because I don't think Thon Maker's got enough
No,
experience under his belt and hence
Gortat
his
would
basketball.
Gortat would destroy is going to destroy Thon Maker. But
Right.
I like Otto Porter, man. I think if anyone's going to be able to, obviously you're not going to stop the Greek Freak.
Don't tell me lock him up. You
No,
almost
no,
just said
no,
he's telling you lock him up.
no. I said he was going to give him the best shot out of anyone in the East to just chip away. What are you going to do? You can't do. You can't go out there and be like, "Hey, Otto Porter."
Whoa.
What?
That is blasphemous. You think Otto Porter's got the
All
best
right.
chance on Washington or out of all the teams?
Is this Kory Waldron or Stephen A. Smith that just?
I just gotta know what I just heard.
What'd you say?
I just gotta know what I just heard. Did you really just say that Otto Porter has the best chance to chip away at Giannis?
Yeah, defensively.
Oh, in that matchup or overall?
Yeah. I don't know that that matchup.
Okay, no, I was thinking shit. You're not trying to say LeBron James can't slow up Giannis.
I mean, LeBron's not a great defender.
Oh, here we go. Oh man.
No, no.
Woo!
I'm not throwing that out there.
Hey, I'll throw a stat at you just for that LeBron comment to anyone who
Hit
thinks
me.
LeBron's not a good defender.
Hey,
Um,
I have to play the non-bias card, dude. I have to be
well,
like,
here we go. This is a stat for
all
you.
right, hit me.
Uh, LeBron James, the average defender shoots 42% when guarded by LeBron James, a minus 3.7 off their normal percentages when LeBron James is guarding them.
42% still pretty good though.
Yeah, but it's a minus 3.7 from their
Yeah.
usual.
And it's not like that's all threes because 42% from three would be
No,
really, really
it's
good.
everything. That's
These could be layups, these could be 10 footers, you know. All right. No, you caught me. I'm not gonna be Skip Bayless and just keep running with it and trying to do something with that because the point I wanted to make, it was kind of just a shout out to Otto Porter. I mean, I think he'd do okay against Giannis defensively. I think he'd get slammed on like 5 times, but
yeah, no. I mean, I guess his length could be an issue. I just don't think he's strong enough to hang.
I mean Giannis has a wingspan of like 1,000 feet, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he just takes up the entire court when he opens his arm. It's annoying. I hate even playing with his team. Probably he probably just hate playing with him.
One thing I want to bring up to you, dude. People are probably I don't know if people wonder this kind of stuff, but you were. So my Twitter got hacked, guys, and me and Kory were talking off air, and it's actually kind of interesting because she's probably gone. The account's probably gone. It's kind of a bummer because that's where I got to share my opinions. Usually sport. Okay, 99% sports. And it sounds so stupid, but there is like a Twitter community. Kory, you probably know what there's
NBA Twitter, yeah.
yeah, you go on Twitter, you're part of the community, you feel good. And then I wake up 4:30 in the morning, my stuff's hacked. I felt really invaded. And also that was my baby. She grew up on me. But one thing that came out of this, which I think it brings it back to a bigger part. I mean, I'm at Twitter for almost a week now, and I feel way better. I don't, we talked about it. I'm not looking down all the time. I'm talking more to people. I mean, I'm just off social, and honestly, I'm watching the games a lot more without trying to live tweet all this stuff. So
That's a great. Last night, my phone died in the first quarter of Cavs Pacers, and I didn't charge it till after the game ended. Swear to God, I had the best experience watching that game.
I was gonna say that was probably the best game you watched. Dude, it's crazy, and I think that
it's a skill. I think I believe it's a skill.
What do you mean? Like
live tweeting games? I think obviously there's those accounts like Howard Beck and Nate Duncan,
people that
Simmons, like the top guys, like the top writers in the sports world, who just pick the right moments and things to tweet. While the rest of us morons just try and tweet everything possible to get seen.
LeBron's dribbling. He's dribbling. He scores. Oh,
right.
You're not watching the game, and then someone can ask you, dude, that game last night. Which one? Oh, Cavs Pacers. Oh yeah, that was a good one. I mean, it was good.
Yeah,
what'd you like
me,
about
I can give you tons of plays because I actually paid attention more.
Exactly.
But I think I definitely agree with you. Not having your phone as a distraction while watching games, and even when watching movies.
I think it goes beyond sports though, dude. It's like to be honest, it sounds crazy, but it's kind of scary, and it's really opened my stuff. It sounds so crazy to even say all this, but it's opened my mind just how much we rely on technology is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and be one of those people that bags on it all the time because we have made so many advancements in so many areas in this world with technology, but at the same time, it's such a fine line. And my speech teacher, shout out to my speech teacher. She said one time, we have these smartphones, and they're called smartphones. They're supposed to be smart, but when you use them, you get so used to it, you still want to be smarter than your phone. And I think it's a great point because some people just rely on their phone so much. I mean, I'm looking up stuff all the time, and I think knowledge has been kind of weakened with the smartphone. I think definitely using it in moderation, and it's kind of sad because sometimes you'll just be sitting there and you'll look around, everyone's on their phone, and I just want to like talk to someone. It's like, hey, I mean, what are we doing? Do I have to call you? Do I have to FaceTime
for us to escape the world 100%. I've done several presentations on technology. And you're right. As long as it's in moderation, phones and internet and all that good stuff, they're good. But it's just, the people that every time you see them, they're looking down. It ain't healthy.
It's hard too. I mean, you just get into that rhythm, and there's so much to do on your phone. It's literally a computer in your hand.
Yep.
You can do so many things, but I mean, just the lesson. I mean, I've experienced it, and it's not even like life changing, but it's just
The,
it's a good
the,
lesson. I mean,
the
you just
one
have to
bright
put.
spot though about you not having a Twitter is I've been able to just roast you. I can just tweet about you. You never know. I ran a poll saying, "Do we miss Matt?" Everyone said no. It's been a real riot without you on Twitter,
Shout
so I'm
out.
really glad you're gone. I gotta be honest.
Did I get swept though? Did someone say yes? They missed me.
No, they said you blew a 3-1 lead.
Oh my god! I was gonna say I was about to get a shout out, give a shout
I
out to
said,
that
"What?
one
Actually, I
person.
believe my poll said, what is worse, Matt leaving Twitter or the Warriors blowing a 3-1 lead?" And they all said Matt.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness! That person in Georgia just must not have liked my tweets. They're probably a Warriors fan or something. I don't know, man. It's ridiculous. Like it sounds so cliche, but I don't know. It's important just to interact with other people and shout out to the Warriors fan that hacked my account because it's obviously a Warriors fan. They just didn't like me. I want to ask you a question though while we're off the NBA topic. What music you rocking right now? Give me an album or a song I should listen to.
Come on. Right now,
Mm.
I'm getting ready for I'm getting ready for Kendrick Lamar. He's
Oh my
got an album
gosh.
coming out on April 7th. So if you haven't heard "Humble" yet by Kendrick Lamar, watch the music video and be blown away.
See, this is probably the part of the show where you're gonna call me out for blasphemy again, but I'm not a Kendrick Lamar fan. I've never been a Kendrick Lamar fan. I do know that he has impacted the rap game in a ridiculous amount, and I'm gonna give him that. I'm not gonna bag on him. I don't know. It's just not. He's just not my style. Um, but I
You
mean,
listen to
shout
the
out.
song "Humble" and tell me you don't get pumped up listening to it, okay?
I,
How about that?
I was listening to
Cash
it.
me,
I was
cash
listening
me
to
on
it
Spotify.
earlier.
How about that?
I was listening to it earlier, and the beat's nice. I'll give him
Come
that.
on.
I'm on Calvin Harris Slide right now. That's my song. I don't know what the album's probably still Culture by the Migos. We talked about that. The
Yeah, yeah.
culture is just
I mean,
but
between More Life, I'm still bumping "Birds in the Trap" by Travis Scott occasionally.
oh, let's go. I'm so
Um,
glad you said that.
he
Oh
actually
my
just
god.
dropped the Goosebumps as a Apple Music exclusive, like the a video to it.
Okay.
So
Are you a video guy? Like you go and watch music videos a lot?
I'm friends with a lot of people that are into pop culture and are into music and video designing classes. So
Mm-hmm.
they watch it and they critique it a lot. So
Yeah.
I've started to do the same, and I really enjoy it because there's a lot of art that goes into it.
Yeah.
Like very subliminal things happen in music videos. Like
That's my sister, like how you talked about how the video and you're critiquing and looking at it. She'll always shout out to my sister. She always will take music videos and kind of critique them. And I walked by one day and she was in the kitchen looking at the laptop, and this had gone on for a little bit, and she was looking at a lot of music videos, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why do you watch a lot of the music videos? Why don't you just go to Spotify or whatever? And she's like, there's, like you said, there's like, she was saying how there's more of an art to it. It's not just, obviously when you like the song, that helps out a lot, but there's a lot more art that goes into that. And I mean that, that I never really thought of it that way,
yeah,
to be
you get a
honest.
better understanding of the lyrics when you get to see what image they're trying to portray with the lyrics.
All right, dude. I mean, we should wrap it up there, but I'm glad we got to throw out some other stuff besides basketball. I mean, we got some little life lessons. Some
We have more
Yeah.
to us than there's more to us than meets the eye.
We're not robots, man. We have more stuff. But Kory, I just want to thank you again, bro. We're almost to double digits. We got probably our regular season finale. Season finale coming up, and then the playoff episodes and all that good stuff. But don't forget, guys. OTG's Twitter account definitely did not get hacked. That's still active, still popping. It's on the rise. Don't be the guy when they hit 10K followers. Don't be the guy that is 10K. You want to be the guy that's 4,000, 5,000. You want to be on the way up, right, Kory? I mean, you don't want to.
You want to be next in line.
Yeah, you don't want to be 10K. You want to be one of the OGs. So no, but shout out to OG, shout out to Nick and Harris and everyone else, and Kory. Shout out to you, man, for another great episode.
Yep. Shout out to me. And
Shout out
Matt,
to
it's been a pleasure, man.
Peace out.